The second Maya's feet touched the ground at Incheon International Airport, everything felt surreal. The air tasted different, sharp, clean, unfamiliar. She pressed her palm against the terminal window, watching the Korean flag ripple in the wind. I actually made it, she breathed. Growing up in Accra, Maya had lost herself in every Korean drama she could stream. From Crash Landing on You to My ID is Gangnam Beauty, her soul had traveled to Korea long before her body did. She never dreamed that one day she'd receive an acceptance letter to Hanseong Elite Academy, one of Seoul's most prestigious private schools. Yet here she was, alone, terrified, thrilled. Before we dive in, beautiful people, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. It's the best way you can support us as we continue delivering captivating stories that'll keep you hooked every single day. She took the express bus into the city. Her forehead stayed glued to the glass the entire ride, eyes drinking in skyscrapers that kissed clouds, flashing billboards, 24-hour convenience stores, and cherry blossom branches dancing along the riverbanks. It was more breathtaking than any screen had prepared her for, but Seoul was harsher than she'd imagined, in temperature and in temperament. When she finally reached her dormitory, her roommate barely acknowledged her presence. The ajumma serving food couldn't decipher her pronunciation, and even something as simple as loading money onto a transit card left her flustered and confused. Maya didn't shed tears that first night, but her fingers shook as she laid out her belongings. The following morning, wearing her crisp uniform, navy pleated skirt, fitted blazer, crimson tie, she inhaled deeply and pushed through the main entrance. Head swiveled. Murmurs rippled. Is she an exchange student from Africa? What's she doing here? They made no effort to hide their curiosity. Maya dropped her gaze and hurried toward the classroom the administration had assigned her. Class 2A. The instant she stepped inside, a wave of silence crashed over the room. Every pair of eyes found her. The homeroom teacher made introductions. This is Maya. She's joining us from Ghana. Please make her feel welcome. Only one student met her stare directly. Miho. He occupied the back corner seat near the window. White earbuds dangled from his ears, his shirt collar undone just enough to bend the dress code. His features looked like they'd been sculpted for a magazine cover. And when the teacher instructed her to take the empty desk beside him, audible gasps echoed through the space. Maya's body locked up. Miho regarded her, expression blank, distant, then pulled out her chair without speaking. The girls surrounding them began whispering behind cupped hands. One even scoffed openly. Maya lowered herself into the seat, pulse hammering against her ribs. This was the instant everything shifted. Maya barely slept. The stares, the murmurs, the cold tension from her first day, it all cycled through her thoughts like an endless reel. At breakfast, she pushed food around her tray. Her roommate still hadn't exchanged more than a handful of words with her. She ached for home, for her mother's laughter, for being around people who didn't examine her like an equation they weren't interested in solving. Still, she fastened her blazer, tied her ribbon, and whispered to herself, I didn't cross an ocean to become invisible. When she walked into Class 2A, it happened again, stares multiplied. Whispers grew louder. But Miho, he kept his head down. She slipped into the chair next to his. Silence hung between them. Good morning, she offered quietly, attempting courtesy. He gave no reply. Not even a glance. Her throat tightened, but she refused to shrink. The morning classes dragged on. During break, two girls marched up to her desk, one sporting dramatic winged liner, the other with arms crossed defensively. Do you actually think sitting beside Miho gives you status? The first girl sneered in heavily accented English. Maya's eyes widened. Pardon. Stop playing dumb, the second girl snapped. You're only an exchange student. Don't forget your place. They strutted away laughing, loud enough to invite others to join. Heat flooded Maya's face. She balled her hands into fists. Then a gentle voice interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Are you all right? She turned. A girl with shoulder-length hair, wispy bangs, and warm eyes stood beside her desk. Unlike the others, her gaze held no malice. I'm Jaiwin, she said with a small bow. You can join me for lunch if you'd like. Ignore those two. They thrive on drama. Maya's vision blurred slightly. I'm Maya, she whispered. It's really nice to meet you. Come on, let's get out of here before someone starts throwing erasers. They both giggled and headed toward the cafeteria. It was Maya's first genuine laugh since landing in Seoul. Later that afternoon, after PE ended, Maya returned to the empty classroom to retrieve her planner. She discovered Miho still at his desk, staring through the window, earbuds blocking out the world. Should she attempt conversation? Perhaps, just perhaps. You're really good at calculus, she said softly. No response. But as she turned to leave, he spoke without shifting his gaze. Stay away from those girls. Maya froze. His tone was flat, detached, yet something lingered beneath it, a warning, maybe concern. She spun back around. Why? Their poison was all he offered. He pushed his earbuds back in, attention returning to the glass. Maya left with her heart racing, but this time it wasn't from anxiety. There was something mysterious about Miho, something wounded, something magnetic, and maybe, just maybe, something perilous. By the time her first week at Hanseong Elite Academy concluded, Maya had mapped out every hallway, sidestepped 5 separate rumors, and discovered that cafeteria rice paired perfectly with kimchi, even if her taste buds were still adjusting. But each day still felt like balancing on a tightrope. Except for one constant, Jiwon. She wasn't overbearing. She didn't interrogate. She simply existed alongside Maya with a quiet resilience that made the loneliness manageable. When Maya stumbled during gym class, Jiwon pulled her up without mocking. When Maya stared blankly at the bus terminal kiosk, Jiwon tapped her card with a grin and promised, I'll show you Seoul one station at a time. By Friday afternoon, they sat beneath a cherry blossom tree behind the main building, splitting a convenience store kimbap and laughing about how Maya had bowed ceremoniously to a decorative statue earlier. I think I permanently damaged my dignity, Maya admitted between bites. You bowed lower than the vice principal does during ceremonies, Jiwon giggled. It felt comfortable, secure. Inside the classroom, though, the atmosphere transformed whenever Miho entered. He consistently arrived early, perpetually silent, forever unreadable. He never smiled, never engaged unless called upon by an instructor. But when he did speak, his voice carried a smoothness and control that seemed beyond his years. Maya observed everything. How he arranged his textbooks with meticulous precision. How his mechanical pencil never needed refilling. How he showed zero reaction when girls slipped him confession letters folded into intricate origami shapes. And how he never acknowledged her, not once. One afternoon, Maya remained after dismissal to finish sketching a skyline she'd photographed from the school rooftop. Drawing became her refuge, capturing Seoul fragment by fragment, like weaving herself into its fabric. As classmates filed out, she heard movement nearby. Miho was still there. He sat gazing through the window again, earphones inserted, eyes somewhere far away. Maya peeked at him, then returned to her sketchbook. But something seemed different. His hands were trembling. She stilled completely. He rubbed his face quickly, almost frantically, like someone erasing evidence before it fully appears. Maya stayed quiet, just watching. In that fragile moment, the untouchable boy appeared heartbreakingly vulnerable. Eventually, he noticed her observation. Their eyes connected. For the first time, he didn't break contact. He simply looked at her, exhausted, exposed, authentic, then stood and exited without explanation. Maya remained motionless, pulse thundering. She had just witnessed a fracture in the armor, and instinct whispered Miho wasn't as flawless as everyone believed. Partner up. That's all the literature instructor announced before scrawling the assignment across the whiteboard. Joint presentation, pairs of 2, worth 30% of the semester grade. The classroom exploded into noise, students scrambling to secure their preferred partner. Maya turned toward Jiwon, but before either could speak, the teacher clapped sharply. I'll assign the remaining pairs. Maya's stomach dropped. Maya and Miho. Complete silence descended. She blinked rapidly. He barely reacted, just nodded once and retrieved his notebook like she didn't exist beside him. Jaiwan shot Maya a wide-eyed expression of disbelief. Maya's palms were already damp. Their task was to analyze a poem, Winter Moon, by Han Yonggun, and construct a two-person performance exploring its themes of solitude and longing. That afternoon, Maya and Miho occupied the library together, or rather, occupied the same space while existing in separate dimensions. She cleared her throat. We could dramatize the dual perspectives in the poem. It's about contradiction, isn't it? Isolation versus connection. Emptiness. You're misreading it, Miho stated flatly. Maya stiffened. I'm not. He finally looked at her, expression neutral. Try it again. Slower this time. She clenched her jaw. You know, just because everyone here treats you like royalty doesn't mean you can condescend to me. Silence stretched. Then unexpectedly, the faintest curve touched his mouth. You're different from the rest. Maya blinked hard. Was that almost praise? He didn't elaborate, but he didn't disagree either. They worked together daily after that, side by side after final period. Initially in silence, then in brief exchanges, then in unexpected laughter that startled them both. One afternoon while studying on the rooftop, Miho's suggestion, Maya pulled out her sketchpad again. You draw soul like you're claiming it, he observed quietly. Maya glanced up surprised. Maybe I'm trying to. He examined her drawing, and Soul Tower against twilight. His voice softened. My mom used to sketch before she disappeared. Maya went completely still. She felt the atmosphere shift. She left. Miho gave the slightest nod. When I was 10. Silence, heavy honest. Maya set down her charcoal pencil. My father left too. When I was 8. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Miho turned fully toward her, really turned, and said, That's why the poem resonated with you. It wasn't flattery. It wasn't a compliment. It was simply truth. The following day, everything changed. Maya opened her locker to find a note. Back off from Miho. You're embarrassing yourself. No signature, just harsh letters in English and a crude drawing of a shattered heart. She stared at it, fingers quaking. The whispers were intensifying again. But this time, when she entered class and settled beside him, Miho turned and asked, You all right? Not cold, not removed, just human. And somehow that made it more complicated, because she realized this was beginning to matter. The Spring Festival had always been significant at Hanseong Elite Academy. Colorful lanterns, street food vendors, performance stages featuring choreographed dances and singing competitions. It appeared enchanting, but for Maya, it represented a minefield wrapped in pretty paper. She overheard them whispering constantly. She's just exploiting the exchange program to seem interesting. Miho would never notice someone like her. She's forcing herself where she doesn't belong. Maya maintained her smile, but internally she'd reached her limit. At the class carnival booth, she volunteered alongside Miho. As usual, he remained composed, efficient, courteous. Girls from neighboring classes appeared just to interact with him, some deliberately losing games so he'd assist with setup. She understood their attraction, but the way they examined her, like an insect on glass. Is she seriously still beside him? One girl stage whispered. She's basically an international charity case. Maya inhaled sharply, swallowing her frustration. Not tonight. That evening, fireworks began illuminating the sky. Classmates clustered in groups with snacks and cameras. Miho stood alone near the garden staircase, scrolling his phone. She approached carefully. You're not watching the fireworks, she asked. I've witnessed enough explosions lately, he replied dryly. She chuckled, then hesitated. You heard them again earlier, didn't you? He didn't respond right away. I did. She looked away. Her chest ached. They treat you like a trophy I'm not qualified to touch, she said quietly. Miho studied her, searching for words. Does it bother you? She pressed suddenly. He paused. Them? No. Me. Does it bother you that they say these things about me being near you? He hesitated again. And that pause, just half a second too long, cracked something inside her. Behind them, a small cluster of girls passed by and smirked. She's still chasing him. One snickered. She'll try anything for attention. Maya spun sharply. Her heart pounded. Her thoughts screamed. Enough was enough. She turned back to Miho, locking eyes. And before he could question anything, before anyone could whisper another syllable, she kissed him. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't tender. It was loud, defiant, public, and absolutely real. Miho's eyes shot open. His arms hung frozen at his sides. The surrounding crowd gasped collectively. Phones lifted instantly. When Maya pulled away, her chin remained elevated. The girls had gone silent. So had Miho. He stared at her, completely stunned, still processing. She stepped back, breathing hard, and announced loud enough for everyone, "Believe it now?" Then she walked straight through the crowd, leaving Miho speechless beneath cascading fireworks. And though he didn't comprehend it yet, that kiss would alter everything. Miho didn't rest that night. He replayed the moment endlessly. Her eyes, that kiss, the fire behind it. How she walked away like she didn't require anyone's validation, not even his. But what haunted him most was how he felt in that split second after her lips left his empty. The next morning, Maya didn't appear in class. Her seat beside him sat vacant. No textbook, no water bottle, no scarf draped over the chair back, just absence. The class buzzed with gossip. Some continued whispering, others scrolling through grainy video footage. One even suggested she's probably hiding from embarrassment. But Miho packed his bag during lunch and walked out of school without explanation. He found her at the neighborhood bookshop, the one she'd mentioned once, where she escaped when homesickness struck. She was crouched in an aisle, flipping through a poetry collection. When she looked up and spotted him, she froze. She began, standing quickly, but he didn't allow her to finish. He walked forward, steady and silent, until he stood directly before her. "You kissed me," he stated. Maya crossed her arms, defensive. "Yeah, I did." His voice lowered. "Why?" She looked elsewhere. "Because they needed to see I don't care. That I'm not intimidated by them or their opinions. That I belong here." He studied her carefully. "And," she added softly, "maybe because I wanted to kiss you. Just once." Silence. Then Miho stepped even closer, barely a breath separating them. "You left," he said. "I assumed you'd be angry." "I wasn't," he whispered. "I was shocked." She nodded, already looking away until he added, "But I haven't stopped thinking about it since." Maya's eyes widened. "What?" Miho exhaled, almost smiling. "You've been here for weeks now, sitting beside me, sharing meals, walking these halls like you're fearless, but I notice it. How difficult it's been. How strong you are." She remained motionless. "And you kissed me like it didn't matter whether I reciprocated or not, like your value didn't depend on me. But I've never wanted to kiss someone more in my life." Maya's breath caught. Miho moved even closer. His voice dropped, sincere and certain. "So if you'll allow me, I'd really like to kiss you now." She blinked. "Seriously?" He smirked, that rare, genuine smile he never displayed in public. "I don't say things I don't mean." This time it was tender, deliberate, honest, and when he kissed her beneath the dim lighting of that bookstore aisle, surrounded by aged paper and faded ink, it was everything. Not because it proved anything to observers, but because it expressed everything they'd lacked the courage to voice aloud. Later, they wandered Seoul's streets together, fingers intertwined quietly. She showed him her favorite overlook by the Han River. He shared his playlist with her, including the embarrassingly cheesy tracks. They laughed constantly. When she stumbled, he steadied her. When he looked at her, he truly looked. And from that moment forward, no rumor or gossip could wound her. Because now she had more than just a deskmate. She had someone who saw her completely. Finally, at school the following week, someone muttered under their breath again, she probably begged him to stay. But Miho simply glanced back at the speaker with a calm, amused expression and replied, "Actually, I begged her." Then he faced Maya again and laced his fingers through hers, walking into class like the entire world could spectate. The cherry blossoms returned to Seoul, drifting like gentle confetti through spring air. It had been exactly 1 year since the kiss that transformed everything. Maya stood before the university announcement board, holding her breath. There it was. Congratulations, admitted. International Relations and Cultural Studies. Seoul National University. She gasped, then laughed, loud and liberated. Her phone vibrated almost immediately. Miho, I got in. Maya, same university? Miho, different major. Same city. Miho, ready for more library sessions? She smiled until her face ached. Later that evening they met on campus. No uniforms, no whispers, no expectations. Just two students with ambitious dreams and a story that began with a desk assignment and a kiss. Miho handed her coffee. To surviving high school. She clinked her cup against his. To what's ahead. He grinned. Let's make it even better. And as they strolled beneath the pink blossoms, her curls bouncing, his jacket half-zipped, hands brushing, hearts full, the world expanded before them. This time they weren't proving anything. They were simply beginning. Who else caught their breath when that fearless moment happened? Maya absolutely shook everything up and Miho never saw it coming. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, beautiful people. See you in the next one.